Right, so I don't screw around with the Easter Bunny because what happened was I was in a bar and his wife was there and she was shit
Grumpy.
faced and then she, what?
As much as I would love to know the story because it actually does sound interesting, we are live.
Oh, we're live. Hey
Yeah, we're
everybody.
live. Hang on, you said Easter Bunny's wife?
No, Glitchy, we're live.
I know we're live. I just didn't know that Easter Bunny had a wife.
Yeah, it's not common knowledge,
Yeah. I mean,
but
to be fair,
we're live. We'll talk about it later.
hey, I tend not to
This
hang
at
out
the
with the Easter
hospital
Bunny.
loved the flowers. Thanks, Miles.
Hold up.
Oh.
How'd you know it was me?
They were labeled.
Let's be
Orphan
honest,
Babies
Miles.
Rehab.
Who else would be sending
Oh,
flowers
well,
anonymously?
hey, I want to support what you do for them. It's really cool.
Thanks. You're really cool. Later, Music Man.
Anyway, I hope you guys are ready to chase some robot falcons. I'm pretty sure if it wasn't confirmed
Need a
in
new
an
phone to
earlier
figure out
part
who this
that
thing's tracking.
the hunters did kill um the hunters did kill
Leave it to Craven to accessorize his pets with railguns.
forgot the guy's name. Birdman.
Birdman? You mean
Yeah.
Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
I saw that movie. That was a good movie.
I have not seen that movie. I need to.
Hmm. You
I
should.
need
It's
to see
good.
the movie because I hear it's good. Hilariously enough, it is because it Michael Keaton did play him in did play Adrian Toomes. I forgot. I mean, Vulture. That was the
Yeah.
name. But Michael Keaton did play him in Homecoming. I loved his performance in Homecoming.
Yeah. There. How many
I'm
winged creatures is Michael Keaton gonna play?
No joke.
Next thing you know, he's gonna be the Mothman.
Halfway through the download.
okay. Jokes aside, I'd actually pay to see that. I look. I'm just waiting for the live action Harvey Birdman movie where with Michael Keaton. A lot of people are expecting it to be like the original Hanna-Barbera cartoon where it's just a superhero. No, fucking courtroom drama. like Harvey Birdman attorney at law. It's Michael Keaton. Man, the thing that makes me makes me curious though, if they did a live action movie of Harvey Birdman, because Michael Keaton would obviously play Birdman as per the joke. Who would they get
Scrape this bird
to play his assistant?
clean.
Hang on, I gotta get a picture of me ripping this bird's wings off. You know what? Speaking of Hanna-Barbera properties, I'm still sad because apparently we were supposed to get a um I cannot think. We were supposed to get a Hong Kong Phooey movie with Eddie Murphy.
Oh,
I would have loved to see that.
that sounds funny.
Well, my entire reasoning for wanting to see that isn't even because it was
Let's
going to
see
be
who
Hong
this
Kong Phooey with
roid
Eddie
rage city
Murphy.
pigeon was
It
after.
was just the fact that it was going to be a Hong Kong Phooey movie. I think the only downside is it was planned to be one of those live action animated hybrid
Storm
films,
won't be bothering her
but
anymore.
I still would have seen it just because it's Hong Kong Phooey and I like Hong Kong Phooey. Speaking of cats, you got a little meal. What What better to hunt mechanical birds than a little spider mew?
Aw, kitty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the bodega cat suit. It's cute. Also, trying so hard to climb the side of this fucking bridge, end up accidentally hopping on the top of a car, as you do apparently.
Come on, Glitch. Get up there. You're disappointing the kitty.
I'm trying.
Do you want to disappoint kitty?
You don't want to know the answer to that question. I mean,
Hey, a piggy.
the honest answer is it depends on the cat.
Let's play.
I have two cats, and one's an old bitch, and the other is just full of mischief. Like I love both my cats, but seriously, one is just a older cat who, even if she wasn't older, she's just straight up a bitch. She doesn't like anyone except for my sister. I mean, she'd let you pet her, but she also just
Birdies, your time's up.
she is just kind of a bitch. Um, can't think of something.
100% away.
But my other cat, which is my cat, um, he is a much younger cat, but he is also just like mischief. Like anything he can do to either cause mischief or get someone's love and attention, even for a few seconds, he'll do it.
The slipstream should help me catch up.
Sometimes both. I recently, it's in the Pet and Animal channel if you want to see it, but I recently got a picture of me holding him, and I just have him in one hand.
Kitty.
Lee, how about we trade you for parts now?
It's a ginger kitty too, and um, I do like him.
Influencer. Maybe
Really
Cartman
cute
just wants some
kitten.
brunch wrecks. Not exactly big game.
Also, I love because the cat in Miles' backpack is called Spider-Man. I love the cat Spider-Man. It's just because he just has little idle animations when Miles is just doing stuff. Hell, like he'll just randomly pop out. Also, stopping by the church for a split second to get this small reference to the Miles Morales game.
Mischief in.
Yeah. Not really a fan. I wasn't as big a fan of the Miles Morales story, but
happened at the Emily May Foundation last night?
I enjoyed it. It was a fine game, but the story is just kind of
and the next
meh.
looking at a war zone. And yeah, listen, clearly those hunters were involved.
Like
Clearly they're the police here.
it tried really hard to be
Y'all saw the same
big and
kind of
emotional
Spider-Man
like the
I
first
did,
Spider-Man
right?
game, but it's like,
The way
yeah,
that
I don't
that suit
care
moves,
enough about these
how
characters
vicious it is.
because I don't know enough about
Call
these.
me worry if you want, but
It a lot of what they have, a lot of what they do for the
take care of the
characters that they
rookies.
introduce in
64
Miles
ounces of
Morales
water every day.
just kind of
See you soon, folks.
yeah. Whereas like the first Spider-Man game, I knew those characters from other media, so when Peter felt betrayed by Octavius at the end, that actually hit harder because I know Peter and Octavius. I don't know Finn. I don't I vaguely know Miles, but that's about it. I don't know enough about the characters to be fully attached. And what I saw of the characters, in Miles Morales did not get me to. It didn't get me to care enough to feel fully upset when Finn died at the end. I mean, I was upset more as it's still saddening because it's a character moment for Miles, but it's still like I don't care enough about this character to feel anything, and that alone is kind of sad. Also, because that was another example of Insomniac getting an original character from the Spider-Man comics and doing their own take on it. Because Venom in this game isn't Eddie Brock. It's losing track of thought. Venom in this game isn't Eddie Brock. It's Harry Osborn, which isn't something from the comics. I know there was one other continuity that had Harry be Venom or something.
This person died 2 years ago.
But this is a,
Just an error.
for most people, this is the first time that Harry was Venom.
Can't leave Craven's toys flying around.
In the Miles Morales game, Finn is actually a modern interpretation of the Tinkerer from Spider-Man, which is interesting. I also want to bring up something before I forget. A little off topic, but I do this in a later part, but one of the when I have to cut in between two recording sessions for a single part, instead of doing the normal transition that I've done where it's basically just the Batman transition but with the Spider-Man mask, I decided to say fuck it, I'll see if I can find an old bumper from the Spider-Man cartoons and see if an old bumper from one of the Spider-Man cartoons and just add it in, so it's like, oh, we'll be right back. Ended up pulling up a trailer for like the first ever Spider-Man game, just to show off that, which that was the Atari 2600 game. And have you seen any of that, like that old Atari 2600 Spider-Man game?
I don't think I have.
Crawl the walls. We'll be right back to the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series on Disney XD.
I'm with you, Spidey! Touch this screen, and the show's over. Touch the screen on a Nintendo DS, and a whole new way to unleash Spidey's moves is at your fingertips. Spider-Man 2 the game, rated everyone.
Sensing action? Now back to the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series on Disney XD.
I know it is a very old episode, but I vaguely remember Angry Video Game Nerd did a video on Spider-Man games, and he did bring up the he did actually play that game, and it's like, yeah, it's not great. It genuinely is not a great game.
Okay, now this is getting weird.
What do you think, Kitty?
Need more data to figure out what's going on here.
Which does make me wonder. What is the oldest game that you've ever played?
The oldest game that I've ever played.
Like not the first ever video game you ever played. Like a game
Like
that
the game with the oldest release?
yes.
I guess technically that'd be Pong.
Pick
Huh.
up in. Gotta squeeze this drone for as much data as possible. Can't
I
let
played
them
Space
find the
War.
targets.
Yeah.
Which Space War was actually, if I remember correctly, Space War was before Pong. There used to be a version of that you could get on Steam that was like an online multiplayer remake. So technically not the original Space War, but that would technically be the oldest. But if you don't want to count that one because it was a remake and not the original Space War, I guess I'd say Pong too.
Yeah.
Because Pong's about as old as you can go for most games.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I had one of those plug-and-play TV arcade games.
Yeah.
And one of them was Atari, so yeah, the oldest one I played was Pong on there.
I had one of my uncles, speaking of those, gave me a plug-and-play system that was Space Invaders and Kicks. I love Kicks.
Need to stop it before it hurts someone. That's all of it.
Yeah. I used to collect a lot of those plug-and-play games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yep. I had Namco, both Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. I had Atari, Activision,
No
Star Wars, Pinball,
There's no record of
SpongeBob.
this person anywhere.
I think the
yeah.
only one I had was that because it was branded specifically after Space Invaders, but it was Space Invaders and Kicks, and that's the only one I had. Which in and of itself was kind of sad because I didn't really have home consoles until I didn't have a home console until about 2012, where as like an early Christmas birthday present, a few of my relatives gave me an old hand-me-down Xbox 360 with the Kinect, and like the first game I got for that was Batman Arkham Asylum. And then the same year for Christmas, I actually got a Wii U, and I still have the Wii U. I'm sad I no longer have the 360 because there are some games that were backwards compatible on the Xbox 360 that aren't backwards compatible on Xbox One or Xbox Series X, which that's a whole thing that saddens. That's a whole other thing that saddens me. But yeah, kind of surprised I never had any of those. I'm kind of surprised I didn't have any more of those plug-and-play systems. But I had like a Game Boy. I had a Game Boy Advance SP for a couple years, and then I got. I didn't get a DS when they first came out. I got a DS. I don't think I knew that the DS existed until the DS Lite.
Yeah.
Got a DS Lite in 2006, and then was basically just had handheld consoles until a certain point. And I technically had a PlayStation that was also a hand-me-down console, but I could never get it working, and it always saddened me. It's also funny to me because I grew up playing a lot of older games with like friends and family members who would have older consoles. I played a lot of just weird, obscure games. I think like the first ever Spider-Man game I ever played, my uncle had the Sega Genesis version. If I remember correctly, I think it was the Sega Genesis version of Maximum Carnage. And so that was like my first experience to, oh, this is Spider-Man. I remember Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi film. I didn't know who Venom was, but I remember playing on a Sega Genesis and playing that game, and it was a fun game. There are a lot of weird games that he had for Sega Genesis because he had that one. He had one of the Cool Spot games, like not Cool Spot itself, but like Spot Goes to Hollywood or something. He had both Toe Jam and Earl games on Sega Genesis. And I think a couple years ago, I actually borrowed his Sega Genesis before I got my own. And he had like a Comic Zone. I like Comic Zone. That was a fun game. Got a weird selection of just older games, though.
Boom. You got the burb.
Yep. Got to burb.
All the targets share the exact same DNA? It's all the same person. But how? Okay. Officially creeped out.
But yeah, no. With me only...
One more drone should do it.
With me only having like handheld consoles for the longest time, growing up with just those consoles, it was kind of weird to me because I also got I played versions of games that nobody else experienced. I think I mentioned I mentioned in an earlier part that I played that I own a copy of the VeggieTales Larry Boy game that was released on Game Boy Advance and PlayStation 2. I experienced that game when it came out, and that game came out in like 2006. But I also played I played the Game Boy Advance version of Spider-Man 2.
That data's the key to solving this whole thing.
I remember having the Game Boy Advance version of the Fantastic Four game based on the first Fantastic Four movie. And it's weird because that game is actually one of the few examples where it is slightly better than the movie itself, but at the same time nobody really remembers the game. Because at least in one of the other examples I can think of where it's X-Men Origins Wolverine had like that. Everyone talks about how the X-Men Origins game is a genuinely good Wolverine game, and then the movie itself is just a shitty movie. But the Fantastic Four video game is one of the few examples where, yeah, the movie itself isn't great, but the game is genuinely really fun. That being said, the game itself also isn't great, but it's enjoyable for what it is. Also, wait for it. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, here it is. Bonk.
Oof.
You want to know the funny thing? That only took off like 1 point of health. I'd say it's like the equivalent of stubbing his toe on the train as he's gliding by, but stubbing your toe would do more damage than like 1% health. It's like gently bumping up
A
against
relay signal? If
a
satellites
desk
work,
or
each drone
something
must be sifting through
while
the
you're not
target's
like not
data at a
paying attention
central
or
hub.
something.
If I can hack the relay point, maybe the target's location is in the stream.
I also find it funny because I grew up with Game Boy Advance and stuff like that, but I didn't have any of the more popular games for the system. Like I didn't have Mario, I didn't have Zelda, didn't have like Donkey Kong, not Donkey Kong.
Raven
I
had
didn't have
transmitters all over the city.
Pokemon. I just had like a weird hodgepodge of games as a kid, and a lot of them were
Maybe
like
that did the
movie
trick.
tie-in games or TV show games.
No. Hunt us right
Um,
to them? Gotta get there quick or else.
and that in and of itself was just kind of funny to me because it's a there's
Richie,
just
did
a
you try to cheat your way with fast travel?
no,
Then what did I just see?
nothing,
I saw something.
nothing.
Glitchy.
Fast travel won't save you. Fast travel is not available at this moment. Fuck. Um, shit, I'm losing my train of thought. Um, Actually, come to think of it, even when I had a Nintendo DS, a lot of the games I had were just weird release because I didn't have. I think my first Pokemon game that wasn't like an older title. The first Pokemon game I ever had was Pokemon Red, but I had that
Here.
like right towards the end of the Game Boy Advance's life. So around the time that
All here for the pool.
Fire Red and Leaf Green would have been coming out. Um,
Remember to wait 30 minutes after eating before jumping in.
I didn't have Pokemon. I didn't have like any of Gen 4 games, but I had Pokemon Ranger. And I liked Ranger. Pokemon Ranger is
Yeah.
a fun is honestly a fun spinoff, and I would love to see that. I would love to see Pokemon Ranger return for on the Switch, but I don't know how they would. I don't know entirely how they would do it. Um, I think one of the weirder games I had was Do you remember Alex Rider's Stormbreaker?
I don't know.
It
I was gonna
was.
make. Oh,
Hang on,
Check
hang on,
inside.
that's what he gets for eating.
hang on.
That's what he gets for eating and not waiting an hour.
That's still one of my favorite things that has happened in a lot of
Did I
these parts.
murder that guy?
Well, I'll question the moral implications of what I did later. Now I gotta investigate.
Hello?
But yeah, no, I just had a lot of weird games as kids, as a
Who's
kid.
there?
I'm actually happy that when I like the first job I had, one of the first things I did was buy myself a GameCube and try and get games I missed out on as a kid. Hilariously enough, the very first game that I got with my GameCube because I ordered the GameCube off of eBay and it came with a game and two controllers, I think. But the first game that I got for the GameCube when I got my GameCube was the fucking Madagascar video game.
Motion tracking.
It's not a bad game. But like looking at my shelf of GameCube games, I have just like a handful. I have a handful of movie tie-in games. Like I have the Series of Unfortunate Events game. I have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which outside of J.K. Rowling being a scummy human being, I remember
Yeah.
that game. I remember that game from when I was a kid, and it's a genuinely fun Zelda like game.
Hmm.
I have Madagascar, like I said. I have
Is that Pete's old
I
man?
have the first Spider-Man movie game.
Is this the
I don't have
Chameleon's
Spider-Man
apartment?
2, which
I thought
saddens
he
me.
was put away years ago.
By the way, that's another example of me owning multiple versions of the same game. Like I own the Spider-Man movie game on GameCube, and then I have the Xbox,
Looks like he graduated
the
too.
original Xbox version,
This tech is
and
insane.
the original
Craven's
Xbox version
drone starts to
actually
pick up every
adds a
interaction
boss fight
we shoot.
against Kraven the
I
Hunter,
knew something was off about Craven's target.
which is kind of neat. I also have Star Wars. Um, I have Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2,
Another passage.
and that game still looks gorgeous
Maybe
to this
schematics
day
and
to me,
hunter logs?
despite it being
Chameleon was keeping
well over
tabs on
20 years
Craven,
old.
too.
Like it just for a GameCube game.
This is the missing
Um,
persons database. It goes
for
back
a
to before
GameCube
I was
game,
born.
Rogue
Maybe the
Squadron on the
Chameleon knows
GameCube
that.
just looks fucking gorgeous.
I gave you everything with no change. And you would not even share your loved you. You hated
You know what? Come to think of it, I have all but one of the Rogue Squadron games, and the only one I'm missing is
Get out of here!
the third game. I have a demo disc of the third game, but not the actual game. Oh god, it's almost like a supervillain booby trapped his secret hideout room in his penthouse. Oh,
Oh god, it smells like sulfur. Let's roll. Oh no.
Hey, look, it's
Some guy.
Don't worry, brother.
I know exactly who it is. I don't remember who he looks like, but that's supposed to be the Chameleon.
Yeah, I figured.
Raven and the Chameleon are brothers? That's a family reunion I do not want to crash.
Don't blame you,
Should
Miles.
keep an eye out for the Chameleon. Pete's not gonna be happy he's still out there.
Right. Sad that we never interact with the Chameleon in any of the games, but it is kind of cool to see that, yes, the Chameleon does exist in the Insomniac universe.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will see you guys next part. I'm happy that we
See
were
ya.
able... I am happy, before I officially cut it, I am happy that we were able to bullshit for a good 30 minutes.
Yeah.